was in 4th grade and Christmas time was coming around. For Christmas, my grandparents come to Wisconsin to celebrate. It's a tradition in our family to have them come back from Texas on Christmas morning, but this year they couldn't. Me and my dad were planning a Christmas vacation. We were going to go to Colorado or Arizona, but then my grandma called to tell the news. My dad asked if we can come to South Padre Island, Texas, where their condo was. My grandma and grandpa said they would love to have us over. I was so excited that I packed once the phone call was over, even though we were leaving in 1 week. We planned on staying 3 days and 2 nights in Texas. We left for Texas 2 days before Christmas Day. It was 3 a.m. and we were at the airport. Now, that was my first time on an airplane, even in an airport. When we got to our boarding area, they said that our flight has been delayed. 2 hours later, our flight was finally here. When I got on the plane, I was very happy that I got to sit by the window, and I kept talking on and on about seeing my grandparents again. Around 1 p.m. we landed in Houston. When we got off, there were many different gift shops. But the bad thing was, we did not know where our boarding area was. And knowing me, I like small souvenirs. So my dad was searching for a boarding area, and I was trying to explore the gift shops. 10 minutes later, we found our boarding area, and we made it just on time. That plane ride took only 1 hour. When me and my dad got off, my grandparents were waiting right there by the exit. I ran up to my grandpa and hugged him as my dad hugged and kissed my grandma on the cheek. Then I ran over to my grandma. On the car ride to her condo, it took about 45 minutes. My grandpa was driving while my grandma was telling me about her neighbors in the beach. When we crossed the Port Isabel Bridge to the island, we saw many dolphins. When we got to her condo, there were so many palm trees, and I could smell the salt in the air. I entered her condo, and I saw that many of her decorations had seashells, fish, or oceans on them. I put my luggage in the guest room, put my swimsuit on, then we went to the beach. When we were walking, I kept asking my grandma if there were any sharks where we were going to be, and she kept saying, "No, Addy, stop worrying. You're safe with me." Well, I got salt water in my eyes a couple times. Otherwise, I had a great time. Later that night, we went to a restaurant called Dirty Al's. They had the best shrimp ever. When we got back to her condo, we watched TV for a while, then I fell asleep. The next day, me and my grandpa walked to Subway, while my grandma and dad were fishing. Then me and my grandpa drove to a mini golf place, then stayed for about 2 hours. Later that night, we went down by the beach and looked for shrimp. The next day, we went to a sea turtle rescue, then walked to some stores on the south side of the island. Then we left for the airport around 3 p.m. Before we left, my grandma and grandpa got me a shirt and a shawl that was painted like a turtle. When we got to the airport, I was exhausted. I was tired from walking and being in the sun all day. When we were on the airplane going back, I was sad that this trip had to end. But I was very thankful that my grandparents let me and my dad come visit the island. When we got home, I unpacked, then texted all my friends about the experience, and my dad called to say that we were home safe. The next day, I returned to school. I brought all of the stuff that I got there. I was very thankful for that experience.